Oh man. Well, hello everybody on YouTube. Sorry, I was singing it out. It's the Wingnut as usual, and welcome back to the channel. So I've been in and out. Of course, I warned you guys this was coming with me being in and out a lot with a new command. So we're just kind of doing our thing. But I had a specific topic I wanted to talk about today. Something that popped up recently in this past week in the news. But it's something that's been going on for quite some time. It's called the privatization of national parks. Now, I'm not talking about the removal of national parks so they can be made into oil fields or pipelines or anything like that. Now, what I'm talking about is specifically, not pacifically, the taking public lands that are run solely by the Department of the Interior, which, your national parks for the most part are. There are some sections that are already privatized, but they want to privatize more of it. The reason being is they're falling short on their budget to maintain projects and new projects in national parks. Now, I just spent a week in Shenandoah Valley, and beautiful place, by the way. Highly recommend to go if you get the chance. But what they're doing is they can't make their budget. They're losing money. They're losing funding to other things. Or things are going over because the facilities are in more disrepair. So one of the proposed things that have come up from the committee, and it's the U.S. Interior Department, by the way, is to privatize sections or facilities in certain parks in such a way that to promote more funding coming into the park. Because to be honest, if you're wanting, and some of the things they want to do is like add food trucks to the availability to use the parks to sell food. Now, I can only speak for a handful of national parks that I've been to, but Shenandoah, there's a couple places to stop and eat, and they're ran by the park. I believe some of those are privatized, but I don't know for sure. But what they're talking about is in some of the parking lots, because there's plenty of places to stop and park to see the view, or to get photos, or to scenic overlooks, or to hike trails, would be allowing food trucks to come onto those spots and sell food. I can see the plus side of that being is that I could get a taco on trail, or a falafel. That'd be pretty damn awesome, actually. But I can see the bad side to it, because when you open the doors to allow for more privatization and more privatized companies to come into a national park, you run the risk of creating more of an environmental hazard. And it may not be an intentional creation of that. It could just be simply that a food truck breaks down and it leaks grease out into a water stream. That does create an environmental hazard. So it's kind of a hit or miss. And depending on what article you read and what paper it's floating around in, you get a different thing. Some people say, oh, it's Trump's lackeys are trying to do this. Or you get people that say, oh, they're trying to make camping worse. I can see both sides of the same coin. By adding more privatization, by upgrading, putting in more RV parks and putting in food trucks and everything else and Wi-Fi towers and that kind of stuff, you do run the risk of bringing more people into the parks. And when parks are like national parks are crowded, they're not fun to be in. I don't drive 3 hours to go to Shenandoah to stare at people. Don't get me wrong, folks are fine. I go out to the mountains to not be around people because I need to take some type of break from folks. It's just how I am. I'm not comfortable 24 hours a day, 7 days a week being surrounded by the military complex and all the concrete and whatnot that's here in the Hampton Roads area. I like to be out in the country. I like to see green and trees. I like 2-lane roads. You don't get that here. So when I've had too much city, I go away. So I don't want to see folks. So I can see that side of the argument. the other side of the argument is, by doing this and bringing in more money, it's going to enable the parks to better take care of themselves and do more of the projects they want to do, which is a great thing. If, and I do mean if, the money actually goes where it's supposed to go. Because forgive me, I don't necessarily trust anybody that just wants to do this across several parks. And they're not trying to do it across every single park. What they're trying to do it against is certain parks. For instance, like this would not work for Yellowstone. Privatizing facilities in Yellowstone would not work because Yellowstone, 95% of Yellowstone is wild. Like it's 95% of that park you're not going to get to unless you're hiking in and out. All right, but like Shenandoah National Forest, that's something that's doable. So you get into that field of it. So I mean, either way you slice it, they're going to have to do something if they want to keep them up, because what people don't realize is the money from national parks comes from the admission to the national parks. It comes from budget funding from the government. All right, the Department of the Interior has to figure out their budgets. So if they have, and their budgets are really tight. So if they have overages on a project or something that's wrong, far worse than what they originally assessed, it cuts deep into their budget. So they're trying to think of ways of getting more people through the parks and generating more money. The majority of people who use the parks don't use the parks because they want to hang out with a ton of folks, or they want to camp next to an RV party. You know what I mean? And nothing against RV parties, they can be fun, but you don't go to a national park to be around a ton of people. And that's its own dilemma in itself, because without a ton of people going through the parks, it's not making enough money to sustain itself. And but the flip side is that the national park is not supposed to be a moneymaker. And this guy behind me is a dick. It's not supposed to be a moneymaker. It's not supposed to make money. It's a nationally funded park. It's supposed to be there. Now, if it breaks even with its costs and budget, it's doing pretty good. So, who's to say? Now, the flip side, or actually, I wouldn't say the flip side, but what I think is interesting about the entire thing is that if you go and you look, this is not something new. The question about privatizing national parks is not new. I found articles from 2017. I found articles from 2009. I found articles from quite a few, some of them going back into the 70s. And I will link as many articles as I can find in the description. But I can remember like reading a National Geographic magazine at my grandfather's house. He had stacks of them that talked about the privatization of some of the parks to help funding. So this isn't a new idea. It's just a new generation hearing it. It is what it is. And of course, anytime I talk about an article or something, it'll be in the description below. But it's just an interesting scenario to deal with. Some people see it as a horrible, horrible idea. Some people see it as, well, if there was Wi-Fi, I'd go. Why in the hell would you go to a national park to use the Wi-Fi? I was happy my cell phone didn't ring. No one called me about my extended warranty. But that's it. That's what it is. So I'm real passionate about it because I think the national parks are a great thing. If you're a person that's in the military retired, or a senior, there are special discounts for you for the use of the parks as a annual pass. So active military get it free. Retired military and seniors get a flat rate pass, or they can do a lifetime pass. It's really great stuff. I'll put a link down to the National Park Service's passes below. And you know, you can check it out for yourself. I highly recommend it if you do go to visit any of the national parks. Do a lot of research about the stuff around it, find things that you like to do, and spend a little bit of time in nature with your damn cell phone in the car. You know what I mean? Like, go out and see the world. It's a beautiful place. Well, folks, it's the Wingnut. I mean, it is what it is. Like, dislike, subscribe. It's on you. Have a good one. Oh, wait a minute. I can't forget the notification button. Hey, hit that bell so every time I post a video, you know about it. You know it's coming. You'll know, oh God, this guy again. Feel free to hit the notification button. Oh man. And hey, I hope to see you guys out on the road having a great time, enjoying life on two wheels. Can't beat it.